Welcome to MMO Attack Top 10, our informative list of the top 10 best of the best in the MMO world. I am Kirk, and here with me is Raina. Raina, what is our list about today?
We have for you the top 10 best MMORPG expansions. Oftentimes what makes or breaks a popular MMORPG. The criteria for the list includes all the relevant parameters like player reception, volume of content, and overall improvements in gameplay or mechanics. Let's begin.
Number 10, we have Menace of the Underdark for Dungeons & Dragons Online. Dungeons & Dragons Online was a decent game during its early years, but it really takes off utilizing the Menace of the Underdark expansion module. With the new expansion came Epic Destinies, a way for players to experience improvements and journeys 5 levels higher than the usual cap of 20. And where would the famed franchise be without the Druid class? Menace of the Underdark is the first expansion to finally incorporate this essential D&D class to Dungeons & Dragons Online.
At number 9, we have Sentinel's Fate for Everquest 2. The 6th expansion in the Everquest 2 lineup brought quite an influx of content. Sentinel's Fate was pretty much like Christmas for most Everquest 2 fans. As if over 2,000 items weren't enough, they were also brought 400 new quests while getting to fight and run away from hundreds of newly added monsters. Throw in over 10 new dungeons and an increased level cap from 80 to 90, and who can argue over the sheer volume of content in this expansion?
For number 8, we have Rise of Zilart for Final Fantasy XI. American players were lucky to be given Rise of Zilart with the national release of Final Fantasy XI. In fact, the expansion is easily the reason the game finally made it to the States. Rise of Zilart incorporated beasts known as hyper-notorious monsters, now a staple in Final Fantasy Online group experiences. New missions helped improve endgame goals for already dedicated Japanese players while providing 3 essential classes, the Ninja, Dragoon, and Summoner. New zones, an increased level cap, and an improved soundtrack helped propel Final Fantasy XI to the top of the MMORPG food chain, where it's still going strong today.
Number 7, Riders of Rohan for Lord of the Rings Online. It may seem a little hasty allowing such a recent release to be regarded so highly, but Riders of Rohan already succeeds at improving one of the most popular MMORPGs in the gaming industry today. Characters can now advance to level 85 and take part in an extremely innovative combat system utilizing mounts. Players can also obtain a war steed and progress through the game, learning skills that are exclusive to their class and to the new mounted combat. Now you and your friends can take down entire cavalry war bands and truly experience the combat portrayed in the famous Lord of the Rings stories.
Number 6 is Scars of Velious for Everquest. When a game has had 19 expansions in its lifetime, developers have clearly been doing something right. With never-ending content being added to the series, choosing just one of the expansions over the rest is almost impossible. Over the years, though, Everquest fans have spoken loud and clear, coming to the agreement that Scars of Velious can't be beaten. When it comes to MMORPGs, sometimes you can't beat huge dungeon adventures full of new dragons. The expansion also finally introduced giants and dwarves to the huge fantasy universe. With many new locations supporting an influx of raid possibilities, Scars of Velious gave the MMO gaming community a fresh experience that was unparalleled during the time of its release.
Number 5, Mists of Pandaria, the latest from World of Warcraft. Just because people keep making fun of the furry pandas doesn't mean this isn't one seriously good expansion. Although this Mists of Pandaria started slower than other expansions, it has since been regarded as a success among WoW fans. The new Pandaren race and monk class were enough to drag new gamers to the MMO world, and it obviously brought back a large number of previously bored fans. With an obvious increase in the game's max level, a new turn-based pet combat system, and challenge modes that put even the most hardcore gamers to the test, there are more than just a handful of experiences for any WoW player to enjoy.
At number 4, we have Mines of Moria from Lord of the Rings Online. The first expansion of the Lord of the Rings Online is one of the best. Years before mounted combat was making its way to Lord of the Rings universe, players were lucky enough to be granted 2 new classes and new experiences in the fabled atmospheres of Moria. Developers promised some of the greatest environment in any MMORPG, and they truly delivered. What solidified this great expansion was the brilliant detail in having an interactive environment of enemies not mirrored in any other MMORPG.
Number 3, the Rift Storm Legion expansion. Sometimes expansions bring bonuses to already loved games. Other times expansions change the future of the MMORPG you're playing entirely. What was deemed the best expansion of 2012 by multiple gaming websites has clearly lived up to the hype, ranging from the small revisions like a slot for wearing capes to large improvements like Grandmaster crafting professions. Storm Legion has certainly brought Rift to the next level of MMORPG gaming.
Number 2, we have Wrath of the Lich King for World of Warcraft. Let's face it, whether you like it or not, the biggest name in MMO gaming is WoW. We've already covered the impact of the game's most recent expansion, but trace the title's lineage back 5 years and you have arguably the greatest MMORPG improvement ever achieved. Realistic shadows, new element graphics, and an adjustable character resolution delivered some of the most breathtaking new environments. Wrath of the Lich King made players feel like they were truly involved in the WoW universe, something MMORPG expansions continue to struggle with. Looking back, players don't regard the second edition to Azeroth as a game-changing experience. Instead, they refer to it as life-changing.
And finally, at number 1, we have Retribution EVE Online. The newest of many expansions for EVE Online has easily brought the most mind-blowing changes in the game's popular history. As if the sweeping improvements to the mechanics weren't enough, developers also reworked Crime Watch. The most magnetic addition in the Retribution expansion pack comes from the groundbreaking integration of Dust 514, a free-to-play first-person shooter that takes place in the EVE universe. For the first time in gaming, the outcomes of one game could have direct effect over experiences in another. What players do as mercenaries battling for planetary control in Dust 514 fully affects the political and economic status of the experiences in EVE Online.
And that's it for our MMO Attack Top 10 expansion list. Tell us what you think in the comment section down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? You probably have a few expansions in mind that didn't make it onto our list, so tell us about it.
Remember to hit that like and subscribe if you're watching through YouTube, follow us on Twitter, friend us on Facebook, and don't forget to have an awesome day.
Thanks for watching, and game on! While the MMO specialist had a love affair with Perfect World. An epidemic of biblical proportions is sweeping the globe. Thousands of nice people find themselves damaging expensive equipment and screaming at PC monitors. There is currently no known... Developers promise some of the greatest environment in any MMORPG, and they truly develop.
It's like a disease.
It is.